Hey y'all, Moses here. In today's training room video, we're going to be going over the top 3 tips to survive in the top 5 in PUBG. And that's a question I get all the time, is how to survive in a top 5 situation. We're going to be using one of my games that doesn't go as planned, and we'll see if we can figure some things out together. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so the idea of this video is I'm going to basically show you guys the highlights up until the point where things go a little bit south for me. So let's cover some of the concepts that I'll be talking about in the end portion of this video. Now, the 3 simple tips are as follows, and I'll elaborate as I go along. The first one is identifying where you can take zone control in the end game. In the later circles, denying the zone from your enemy is essentially taking yourself to the very far tip of the zone and trying to prevent your enemies from gaining entry, using the blue zone and yourself as a bit of a damage sandwich to make it so it's easier for you to maneuver and secure basically area of control, and then dispatch your enemies as they try and get closer towards you. Now, this is not always possible. You might not have cover where you need to be at the edge of the zone. You might have enemies closer to you, preventing you from maneuvering, or you might just not have time to discover these things on your own, so you just have to kind of go with it. And essentially, taking the zone control is that first step that I always look for as an advantage in the end game. The second thing is just using your audio and kill feed awareness to kind of paint a picture to where your enemies might be. You're not going to be able to kill everyone all the time in the end game, but what you can do is at least keep tabs on them. Using the audio information gained by gunfighting, or looking at the kill feed to see who's dying where, and then kind of make a little bit of a mental map as to where enemies are. Beyond that, you can use that mental map to maneuver around, position yourself, and decide how you want to get to that next kill or get to that victory, whichever comes first. And when you kind of make that map and you're deciding on how you want to move around, you can kind of patrol the edge of the circle, see if you can find anyone to kind of rustle up trouble or try and find that extra kill. Typically, rotating around the edge and using that map awareness kind of come in tandem as my second kind of tip to perform in the end game. And the third one ultimately is just being able to stay aggressive and don't go passive. Always try and press the action, and you don't ever want to get caught. Always stay moving. Keep your head on a swivel. Be looking around you. Don't always stand in one spot. Move around and just kind of keep your awareness up. Don't let the fight come to you. You always want to try and be the aggressor in the end game, because if you go passive and someone sneaks up on you, you're going to be reacting to them, and that's going to be a lot more difficult of a situation than if you kind of take the fight on your terms using the previous 2 points I just mentioned. If you're taking zone control from your enemy, if you're looking and kind of mapping out where they are, you can then translate that into aggression. You need those first 2 things, or at least a combination or part of one of those 2 things, to be the aggressor. Because if you don't have awareness, you don't have zone control, you don't have the dominant position, being aggressive can just be reckless and can end your round very quickly. But if you're not aggressive and you're not staying constantly on your toes and you let the fight come to you, even if you have those first 2 things, you're going to be in trouble. Looking in this game particularly, I have a couple of disadvantages that I'd like to note that, I mean, are kind of a factor and maybe not a factor. I spent most of my game in this particular one using the Vector as my primary and then using the Mini as my secondary. Usually you want to pair a SMG with a DMR so you can get that long and medium range precision, especially when you're using a slow bullet speed weapon like the Vector. I decided to use the Vector. I was having fun with it. It was kind of a meme at a point, but then it kind of cost me because in my last engagement, I was having a little bit too much of a distance issue with my enemy. I couldn't get to the Mini. I was taking damage, and it just wasn't really going my way. And I think there are a couple of things I could have changed to make this victory a little bit more easy. And that would have been using an AR instead of an SMG, which is always a better choice considering how much more damage you get. You have to land less effective shots. You have better bullet speed and a lot of different factors that make SMGs in one-on-one open fights not the way you want to go. So that's the one thing. And other than that, I was a little bit hesitant, but I think that's enough talking. I want to go through the replay and show you guys exactly what I mean. So let's jump right into that. All right, so here we are in the end game. I've jumped back a little bit in time. I know you guys just saw kind of what happens, but I just want to point out the lay of the land here. So this is phase number 7. The circle has yet to start to move from its next shift. I've taken the low side of this zone. Here's me in my fancy outfit. I've got level 3 gear. I'm also rocking the Vector. I mentioned that earlier. I've got the Mini. I've got some fancy shoes on. I'm ready to go. So this is kind of my first mistake, and something I recognized while I was actually playing the game, is that my primary area of threat would be up on my right-hand side with all these trees. Now, this zone encompasses mostly the right side, or the, I guess yeah, I'll just say the right side of the current play zone, favoring myself. But what I should have done initially, when I recognized the right side would be dangerous, because I hadn't really heard where anyone was at this stage, because these two guys haven't engaged each other at all yet, I kind of figured there would be a guy in this house, which Demon Biter is actually just leaving. By the way, Demon Biter also with level 3 gear. You can't see his gun, but he's got a Mark 14 and an SLR. And I kind of figured what would be happening is that there would be two guys left, one camping this ridge, watching the house, and one guy in the house, and that this guy would eventually take care of this guy. I'd be using that audio information, that kill feed information, and then just cleaning up whoever was left. So my first mistake here is just allowing this right side, this threatening area, to just go unchallenged. I just kind of sat back in the zone and waited. Whereas I should have taken this tree right here. I would have taken the top end of the zone. I would have used that kind of game sense information to then allow whoever lives between these two or both of them to play with the zone at their back. So if I take this top side position, I have total zone control. I have this flank completely eliminated. But the only concern I had was I didn't know where this guy was. I hadn't heard anything. He maybe was snaking or already at this tree. He maybe could have caught me in transition moving up this hill in a tough spot. I just didn't move. I wasn't being aggressive, and that was my first mistake. So we'll let it play for a little bit. I'm down here chilling. Demon Biter actually goes to check for Race Fan, who is actually just snaking over here. He's just kind of sitting, maxing his boost out, not really doing anything. And again, yeah, I'm just not doing much at all. I'm just kind of waiting for the zone to start closing. We're at about 20 seconds. I think I see Demon Biter first and then take some shots at him, and then I kind of get into a bit of trouble. So I will spot him here eventually. He's jumping around looking for me. The zone is now closing, 23 seconds before it finishes, and yes. So I see him. He takes a shot back, and then he immediately starts chucking grenades my way, just trying to flush me out. And that second grenade actually does a lot of damage to me. Meantime, Race Fan, having taken, I believe, either zone damage. I don't see any holes on him, so I don't think anyone shot him. I think he took some zone damage, but he gets a wicked flank onto Demon Biter. But guess who intervenes? It's me down here, putting a hole in Race Fan's face up here. I knock him down. He's got a big old hole in the head from the Vector. And instead of biding my time, I haven't healed. I haven't done anything at this stage. I take Race Fan down. Demon Biter skates away. He had almost no chance to live if Race Fan had continued to shoot at him. He could have killed him very easily. But I intervene and I save Demon Biter. Nades continue to go off around me. I'm still waiting to see if he appears anywhere. I'm being passive here. I don't press the action. I don't med. I'm not thinking clearly at this stage. I could have thrown grenades, anything. But Demon Biter gets his med off. I know I haven't seen him in a while. I figured he's finished his med. And then I do, I believe, a full med kit. I do. So I'm back to full health. He immediately tags me twice. And I tag him again. Now, I do have the health advantage, but I don't know how much damage I've done to Demon Biter because I don't know how much damage he took in that initial trade. So, again, I take damage, and instead of pressing, instead of making him take that up-close trade, I wait again. I don't do anything. He finishes his med. I don't grenade. I don't do anything. I'm not playing aggressive. And now look at me. I have no cover. I'm just chilling in this no man's land. I didn't press up to the tree. I didn't get close enough to him to make my equipment as effective as it could be. I'm playing like I have an AR right now, whereas I have a Vector. If I take this tree, he comes out any side. I can pepper him with damage. I'm low health. I should have meted. I could have done a lot of stuff. I was not using my time effectively. And now he's got the health advantage. He's got the height advantage. He's got the cover advantage. And I'm face down in the dirt. So this is a great example of using those three things I've talked about. Now, I've won and lost a lot of games, but ultimately this one was a very clear path to victory that I just decided to ignore. I am not impervious to these mistakes. There's a reason why I spend so much time talking about them, because I make them all the time myself. So yeah, for Demon Biter, it was GG. I gave him lots of time and space to win this game. Clearly wasn't aiming in the right spots. I was hitting him in the lower body. But regardless, Demon Biter played it well. He played it calm, and I didn't take the advantages as they were presented to me. And I think that all those things come together to show you that if you do use that zone control, if you do use that audio and kill feed awareness, and if you stay aggressive, you can turn these very close calls into victories. So keep that stuff in mind. Don't forget to check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/wtfmoses. If this video was helpful to you, leave a like and a comment down below. If you have any feedback for me, or if you want to tell me how bad I am, that's totally fine as well. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch today. Check out the other training room content in the playlist. And until next time, I'll see you out there.